Welcome into another edition of That's Deep. I'm Tommy Z, joined as always by Johnny Bravo. We've got a pretty decent pay-per-view this week, UFC 316. We've got a rematch with Marab and Sugar Sean, and we've got Kayla Harrison taking on Pena, which has been a match that I don't know if it's been highly exciting for everybody, but we've been hearing about it for quite some time. So it's finally here, and I'm excited. Better card this week. I hated last week's card. We did make money on the card, which was nice. But Johnny, how you feeling coming into this one?
Feeling good. Off a big card last week. Made some shekels. Ramis sub round one was great. You know, Gamrot coming out. You know, pulling it through was also great. You know, yeah, and we got a heavily juiced favorite card here, so gonna have to try to find some value how to get on these guys.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, definitely some favorites that are obviously way more juiced than I like to lay, but I do feel confident in a few spots, so I will be throwing some parlays out there, and I think we can make money on this one. But we'll jump right into it. Our first fight of the night, as long as I've got this set, yes, I do, is in the lightweight division. We got Markel Medeiros taking on Mark Chewinski. Chewinski is making his UFC debut. Medeiros was supposed to fight on that card last week. He pulled out due to some kind of injury, and he's right back here this week. So kind of a strange situation. Sort of a striker versus grappler here. Chewinski's got some pretty good wrestling in his back pocket, but he is making his debut, so that's always interesting. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this one is, I don't know. I don't know what to make of Medeiros. Whatever happened last week, why he pulled out, and then now all of a sudden he's good to go this week. It really doesn't make sense, but, you know, okay, he's coming in here. Hoping he's healthy, you know, but you never know with these guys. You know, good striking, good boxing, likes to stay at the outside, pick his opponents apart. Takedown defense is a little suspect, but he can get back to his feet. You know, Hooper made it a close and competitive fight in his last fight, you know, which was interesting. I think I might have been on Hooper that fight. I don't remember, but yeah, and Chewinski, I mean, I just don't know how good this guy is. You know, he's coming in, level of competition isn't great. You know, like you said, he's kind of like a wrestle boxer. I really don't know how good his wrestling is, though. He has some credentials, but, I mean, doesn't look all that great. But, I mean, that would be a game plan for him to go in and use here in the wrestling. The striking isn't the greatest. I don't know. This is a tough one. I really don't know what to make of Medeiros, you know, because – you know, missing the week, you know, it's kind of weird. You know, I kind of want to see scales on this one, see how he looks on the scales, see if, you know, he's affected by another weight cut, because it's kind of like back-to-back weight cuts, right? So, yeah, well, I guess he didn't really cut. He kind of got out before he really had to make the last final cut. So, yeah, you know, I mean, maybe it won't affect him that much, but who knows? You know, this guy's kind of a wild card to me, you know. Talented, but laying juice on him is kind of tough. He probably wins the decision, but yeah, we don't know the level of Chewinski or whatever the fuck his name is, you know. So I don't know. I'm going to lean Medeiros here to get the job done, but very little confidence. Kind of want to watch weigh-ins.
Yeah, I've got the same thing here. I think Medeiros wins. I do think he is talented. I'm not sure mentally if he's all there. I mean, he's pulled out of a couple fights, you know, a week of, so that's a little alarming. But, you know, the kid's talented. And Chewinski, you know, he does have good wrestling. When he gets a power position, he definitely takes advantage of it. If he gets the back, it could be a problem. But, you know, he's still – and he gets out-scrambled a little bit at times. He gets a little overzealous, I noticed on the regional tape. So, I don't know. I think he's a guy that, he's got a little bit of power in his hands. He's got that kind of wrestler striking, boxing type style. You know, he can hit. He's a tough kid. He's been through a lot. His backstory is pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Making his debut here, I have to side with Medeiros. It's tough to trust the kid, like you said. We'll see how he looks at weigh-ins, and yeah, I don't know. This might just be a fade spot for me. All right, our next fight is pretty interesting one here. Again, the line is absolutely massive. We got Quillian Salkild taking on Yanal Ashmus. This is a lightweight bout. Salkild has some pretty nice straight 1-2s. He's he can go to that wrestling. Saw him land 9 takedowns on the Contender Series. Taking on Yanal Ashmus, who's he's a tough out, man. He's a tough fighter. He's him at this price, at this massive dog price, is a bit tempting, but Salkild looks like the real deal. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm pretty high on this Salkild kid. I was high on him, taped him for the Contender Series, and I seen him there. Impressive. Really, really, really strong wrestler. Great wrestling, great grappling. Striking is a little to be desired, even though he did knock out the Indian dude in his last fight with like a pretty much one-punch knockout, which that was impressive. I didn't think he had that in his repertoire, so he showed me that he's got. It's either the other guy had no chin, or just he just sucks. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, I think it's like a combination of a clean combo and was it Sergey? No, not Sergey.
No, so we got
Sergey. What the hell?
I forgot his name. He's the Indian
but that kid,
guy
that's the kid that he broke in his previous fight, and then he just got completely starched by Salkild.
Salkild, I think he's got a lot of potential, and the skills look all to be there. Really, really strong wrestling. Like his grappling, like his wrestling. And he can make improvements in the striking game. He can be a well-rounded fighter. Big, massive favorite here. I think last time I seen minus 550. Pretty big favorite. And Ashmus is he's a tough guy. He's tough. He's got some wrestling too in his back pocket. Big power in his hands. Like we've seen, he knocked out Sam Patterson, another kind of tall, long, lengthy guy. Starched him. And this is kind of like the similar like situation-ish, but he's got that one hitter quitter, that's the equalizer, is that power,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Salkild should be able to get this guy to the ground and just grapple fuck him, and that should be the game plan. But I mean, I could see Ashmus kind of getting up and getting mat returned back to back. I could see that happening. It's probably Salkild by decision here. That's probably the way I would look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to side with Salkild here too. I like Ashmus. I think he's a tough fighter. I mean, his one loss in the UFC was against Chris Duncan, and he broke his arm in the first round, and he went 3 rounds with him. And Duncan's not the greatest. I mean, I've poked holes in that guy's game basically his whole career. But he finds a way to win fights. He finds a way to finish guys, and Ashmus went 3 rounds with him, so with a broken arm. So that's, you got to give him some credit. He does have power. We saw that the Patterson knockout, that was nice. Patterson since then has looked really good, but he's also moved up in weight. That weight cut might have been part of the reason why that knockout was so brutal. But yeah, I mean, the line's huge. I'm not a big fan of the massive, $5 favorite, but I think Salkild's got the size. He's got a nice 1-2. His striking is not the greatest, like you said, but he does have some, inline strikes that can be pretty dangerous, especially being the longer fighter here. So I think he probably wins at distance. He probably controls that. But he probably goes to the wrestling, mixes it up. And, being the bigger guy, that's going to be a pretty sizable advantage. So, yeah, I like Salkild here. You can't do much with a minus 500 in a parlay, but he's you could throw him in with something. So I feel pretty good about him. But yeah, it's I think it's going to be a pretty fun fight to watch. Asmus he's a tough out. And but yeah, give me Saul killed here. All right, our next fight is in the featherweight division. We got Jekka Sergi taking on Joe Sang Yo. Yo making his debut. Looks good. I mean, another pretty big favorite here, making his debut against a guy who's had a few fights in the UFC. So, I mean, that's a bit interesting. But, Yo does look pretty solid. He's got that kind of bouncy McGregor style on the feet. He can grapple. He seems like he's got a full, well-rounded game. Taking on somewhat of a UFC vet here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you coming from the zombie fight league or whatever, the Korean Zombies promotion. That's how he got signed. Dana was there looking for a fight, and yeah, he absolutely just like murdered some dude, just clean, put him out cold. Yeah, watching him back, the striking looks pretty good. The grappling looks to be there. I mean, he seems like a pretty well-rounded guy, but these like Asian fighters coming over, that there's always the question when they kind of face the higher level of competition. But he's going up against another Asian road to UFC guy, Jekka Sergi, who is let's just say he's kind of a kill or be killed fighter. He's not very good. He's got power in his hands. The grappling is not the greatest. He can be taken down, but he can grapple a little himself if he has to, against lower level competition. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to get to -600 on this guy though. Now it's like, I like him, man. I really like him a lot. I think he probably wins. I don't think Jekka's very durable. I don't think he's UFC level. I think he probably is. This is a setup fight for you, and it's just -600 is just a tough price to get to. I was thinking maybe a sub here might be sneaky. I've seen, you kind of try to get the back and kind of try to lock things up, but just hasn't like sunk anything in recently. But yeah, it's gonna be probably you inside the distance. And yeah, I'm not high on Jekka. He got subbed by Weston Wilson. So, I mean, that guy's going out there. I mean, Weston Wilson was getting starched by everybody and, comes out and subs this guy. So, yeah, it's you, but it's probably inside the distance. But, yeah, that's all I got.
That's how I was looking at it, too. I mean, Sergey's been finished in 2 of his 3 UFC fights, which is not a great look. And I think Yo has he's got the overall game to kind of push a pace in this one and just find an opportunity at some point. I feel like the only way to get value is to bet a finish here, and but I do think a finish is live. He's got some power. He's got he could snatch something up. He could club and sub. It's all there, especially later rounds 2 and 3. So yeah, I agree. Tough to really get too excited about a -600 making his debut, but I think he gets the job done. All right, our next fight is in the women's flyweight division. We've got Ariane De Silva, or Lipsky, depending on how you know her, taking on Wang Kong here. Wang Kong, very good striking. She's tough to hit, puts up pretty good volume. Lipsky, she's got some decent striking. She's been finished a few times in her UFC career by KO. She's kind of one of those wishy-washy fighters. She's definitely got some talent, but you never know what you're going to get with her. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Ariane Lipsky De Silva. That's her. I guess, she got married, so changed her name. Formerly known as the Queen of Violence. I mean, Yeah, I used to be kind of high on her. She had like the talent, I like the striking game. It's pretty decent on the feet, a little bit of pop in her hands. I thought she was a decent fighter, but she's kind of like, I don't know, hit or miss for me. Her biggest weakness is the grappling department. That's she getting taken down and controlled and pretty much getting beat up on the ground. So, if she could keep this fight on the feet, she's definitely got a shot because I like the striking. The striking is good, and just it's the grappling that concerns me. And Kong Wang, big hype coming in, Joker face. A lot of hype coming in behind her. She has a win over Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing. She came in, absolutely destroyed Victoria Leonardo, but then kind of got like put on a little hold up now, and then Gabriela Fernandez, head kicked her and choked her out as a big favorite, which was, that was surprising, and her last fight, she looked good, she just absolutely beat her pillar to post, did, striking is really good. Yeah, she's going to have an edge here, but her clearest path to victory would be to go for takedowns. I think she can mix in the grappling here because Lipski's takedown defense isn't great. So, the least path to resistance would be for her to, take her down, Yeah, but on the feet, I think she could definitely win on the feet. I think she could catch her too. I really like this girl's, striking, but the last wasn't her last fight. I thought she would get a knockout, but she didn't get it, which was kind of like disappointing. But she won a dominant decision. Yeah, it's just I don't know where to go here. Do I sprinkle the knockout or do I go with decision? I definitely think she probably wins, but it's like I'm not sure how to go about getting on her. Might sprinkle like a 2-3 knockout probably or something like that. Try to get get a good number on her, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that loss that she took, that was a pretty humbling moment for her. She was looking good in that fight. I think she just got a little overconfident, got caught with that head kick. Gabriella, she's big too. Like it's not like she's pretty big for the division. She's bigger than most. So that that might have been a factor. But I really just think it might have been just a little bit of overconfidence on her part, and she got caught. It happens. And I think in that Bruno Brazil fight, she did look dominant, and it did look like she could get a finish in that one. But it almost seemed like she was just trying to get back in the win column, just
get a win. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. That's how she looked like. She just wanted to get that win back. Yeah.
Yeah, and Lipski, De Silva, she's been finished a bunch, and if she gets behind in the striking, we could see another finish here. So I think that's probably the way I'm going to go. I do think it can be somewhat competitive on the feet. She's definitely faster. Kong is definitely faster, which is going to play a big role. And, despite the fact that she did get club and subbed, she doesn't get hit very often. Her strikes landed to strikes absorbed is a pretty significant gap. She lands quite a bit, doesn't get hit very often. So again, that finish was a bit of an anomaly. So I think she probably just, picks her apart on the feet, just going to be a little bit faster. And if it does go to the ground, I think she's not a grappler by any stretch, but she does have a little bit of grappling. We've seen it at times. And she could get it done there as well. And, like I said, Lipski, I don't know how committed she is. She's got a lot going on outside the cage. So give me Kong here. I think she probably finds a finish later in the fight, but I definitely think she wins this one. All right, moving right along here. Our next fight is a pretty interesting one. In the welterweight division, we got Chaos Williams taking on Andreas Gustafsson. Gustafsson, another guy that was supposed to fight, I believe, on the last card, and Trevin Giles pulled out. It was either last card or 2 cards ago, but
last card.
Yeah, it was last card. Giles pulled out, another late pullout. And so now here he is, finally getting to fight, taking on Chaos Williams, who's, he's a tough out. He's got big power. He's a good striker. He's got, for the most part, pretty good takedown defense. We didn't see that in his last fight, but historically he's had good takedown defense. Gustafsson wants to push a pace, wants to get you up against the cage, land those big knees and elbows. So I expect this one to be a pretty good slugfest here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I kind of like try to picture how this fight would go, and it's like, okay, Gustafsson, he's gonna want to push you up against the cage, and he just fights like a fucking madman. Like, we broke him down last week. He fights like a madman, real reckless, likes to go in there and go to war, really careless defensively, and that's kind of like the wrong person you want to do that with, in Chaos Williams. This guy has legit power. Like, he can put you out cold. Like, and I don't know. It's like, it's if Gustafsson, how's the cardio going to be after another weight cut? Another guy we got to talk about is coming in, making another. How's the cardio going to look if he's using all that energy to get Chaos Williams, who's a big guy, using all that energy to put him up on the cage, and say he has some success early in the fight, how is that gas tank going to look later on? Yeah, really interesting stylistic matchup. I kind of like Gustafsson here. Maybe I just want to take a dog on this card, but it's like I can see Chaos just like this being a war, and this guy just walking in with his hands down, and Chaos kind of just catching him with something big. This is a tough one for me. I'm on the fence right now. I want to see the weigh-ins. I want to see, what's going on with Gustafsson, how he looks, or if he has any problems cutting back-to-back weeks. Because he did make the full cut, unlike Medeiros, who kind of pulled out like a few days before. So, yeah, I kind of want to wait and see the scales on this one, but I'm kind of leaning Chaos starches him. I don't know.
Yeah, man, I picked Chaos to win the fight. But I have gone back and forth on this one, because if Gustafsson does get him up against the cage, kind of makes it an ugly fight, gets those knees and elbows going, he can land something big in there. The cardio is a bit of a concern, though. I don't know exactly what to expect, and
he takes a lot of damage in his fights. This guy takes so much damage.
He does get hit. He generally walks through big punches pretty well, but I mean, I've seen him wobbled a couple times, and Chaos isn't the wobbling type. He's the type to put you out with a big shot. So yeah, I mean, I think Chaos wins. I mean, the things that are going against Gustafsson, the weight cut, having to travel after that, and then making another weight cut. So we'll see what the scales look like. I can't imagine the cardio is going to be on point with all that happening. And Chaos is going to be there. He's going to be there. We've seen him go 3 rounds. Generally he likes to get his work done early, but we have seen him in a few 3-rounders, so we know he can go 3. So I like Chaos. I think he gets it done, but I don't mind the shot on Gustafsson either. I think he's live. But yeah, I have to officially go with Chaos here.
Maybe a good live betting opportunity.
Yeah, that's probably a very.
But if it makes it out the first round, because I could see this like ending in round 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the way Gustafsson. I mean, he said he was going to come in. I won't say what he said, but he's going to go crazy in the Giles fight.
Full R-tard.
Yeah. So. We'll see. If he comes in that way, fight could be over quick for either one of these guys. But I mean, I'm gonna have to roll with Chaos here. All right, our next fight is in the heavyweight division. We got Sergey Spivak taking on Waldo Cortez Acosta. Acosta, basically a striker, puts up pretty solid volume. He's got good striking. Spivak, we know what he wants to do. He wants to come in and grapple. He can stand and trade a bit, but his specialty is getting the fight to the ground and just wearing on guys and beating them up there. Bit of a styles clash in this one. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, kind of a striker versus grappler here. Waldo Cortez Acosta. Kind of a for being a heavyweight, he's kind of like a heavyweight point boxer. Good striking, not much power in his hands. We've seen him grapple, but I mean that's against a guy who literally has zero takedown defense in Robelis de Spain.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I mean, I think one of us could probably take that guy down if we don't get put out. But
yeah,
I think he's okay. Cortez Acosta. He's a decent fighter. Good boxing, good striking. Just kind of, I don't know. There's something about him that it's just he's kind of like we're in an Orlovsky fight where he's like throwing up his hands and doing all kind of like stupid shit in there, and that's the kind of stuff I don't really like about him. But I mean, I guess he's a decent fighter. And then what we're getting out of Sergey Spivak. He's a solid veteran who's been in here. He's fought the best of the best. He's fought all the guys you could think of here in the UFC. Really good grappling, really good top control. Good ground and pound, heavy ground and pound. So if he gets this to the ground, I can see him landing some big ground and pound shots. And I don't think Cortez Acosta's takedown defense is very good. I think he can be taken down, and I think Spivak probably easily gets him down early. I think he shoots, and then he gets that first one, and then it's whether he's able to get him out of there and just smash him out, or maybe even sub him. But yeah, I like Spivak here at the like minus 130 price. I think it's a good number. I think he's got the grappling upside. He gets it down to the ground. I think it's pretty much a wrap. So yeah, Spivak for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of the better value spots on the card. I like Spivak all around. I like him for DFS. I just think this is a levels type fight. I think Cortez Acosta's good. I think he's solid. I wouldn't say he's good. I think he's had a decent little run here in the UFC, but I just think this is I think Spivak's just on another level. He's fought literally the best of the best. Didn't always go well for him, but for the most part, when he fights guys a tier below, he generally looks pretty good. And yeah, if he gets the grappling going, which I expect him to be able to do, he's gonna maul him. So I like Spivak a lot here. When I saw the money line, I was pretty excited. I think it's great value, and yeah, I fully expect him to smash in this spot.
Yeah.
All right. Our next fight, hold on, did I? Yes. Is in the light heavyweight division. We got Azamat Murzakanov taking on Bredison Ribeiro. Ribeiro he's basically just a guy that's coming to chase a knockout. He's got some submission skills. He's got a nice guillotine. But yeah, he goes, he comes out looking for that knockout, comes out looking to be explosive. Taking on Murzakanov, who's, he's got big power. He's undefeated. He's got all the skills. He's got good cardio. He's tough out here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think Ribeiro's probably a can. I mean, he luck boxed the sub in his last fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, he's got big power. He's kind of a guy that's going to walk in there and throw big bombs, but then I don't think his chin is very good. I think that chin is cooked. It's dust. One solid shot, I think, can easily put him out. We've seen in the Ming Yang fight, just absolutely starched him. And I think it could be similar here. Murzakanov, just great striker, big power in his hands. Yeah, he's going to look to put you out and just absolutely destroy you. Really impressed me in the Jacoby fight. Really impressed me in his last fight. Just overall, just big power, good, solid striker. Yeah, I think this is pretty cut and clear. I think it's a Murzakanov knockout, and I think it's probably a violent highlight reel KO. Yeah, this is pretty easy for me.
Yeah, me too, man. I really didn't need to do any tape on this one. I did do a little bit just because I just want to kind of do my due diligence. But yeah, I just became more confident in Mirzakhanov. He's knocked down every single opponent he's fought under the UFC banner. I expect him to get another knockdown here, more than likely a knockout. Yeah, I just think he's just way more composed. We know he can go 3 rounds. That power translates into the 3rd round. And Ribeiro, although his cardio has looked a little bit better of late, I don't think his cardio is very good. And against a guy who's technically sound, strong in all aspects, I just think Mirzakhanov finds the button at some point and gets him out of there. So I agree. It's a pretty easy fight. It's never you can never say easy, but for a UFC fight, it's pretty easy, cut and dry, at least on paper.
Yeah, all the props haven't really dropped yet, but I thought I seen the knockout was like -2 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there might be a little value there. I don't mind putting that in a parlay. I definitely
or maybe the KO 1-2. I think, but that's probably going to be like 150 or something.
Yeah, you know, Ribeiro's going to come out guns blazing, and if he doesn't get the kill shot, which I'm not expecting him to, I think the cardio is going to fall off pretty quick. So, yeah, 1-2 might be a good look.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the flyweight division. We've got Bruno Silva taking on Joshua Van. Joshua Van, a guy that we've all been pretty high on. 23-year-old kid. He got into the sport late, but man, he just seems to make improvements with every fight. Very, very good striking. Taking on Bruno Silva here, who's definitely a tough out, well-rounded guy. He's been in some wars in the UFC. He's won some nice. He's had some nice finishes. Never an easy out. But, yeah, taking on Van, who's, a little bit younger, up-and-comer. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, big fan of Josh Van. Love his striking. I mean, the combination he throws, the rips to the body. I like how he goes from the body, head to the body, switches it up. Really strong striking, good cardio. Gets better as the fight goes, just absolutely, usually drops that first round and then absolutely turns it on in round 2 and 3. Except for the Charles Johnson fight where he just got absolutely nuked in round 3, which was kind of unexpected. I mean, kind of crazy. I mean, haven't really seen Charles Johnson knock too many people out, so that was surprising. But he bounced back in that Chires fight. Went to war with him at the spear. Really good look. In his last fight against the Asian kid, takedown defense against Ray. It was Saruya, right? Ray Saruya.
Yep.
Yeah. So really solid takedown defense. Against a grappler with some pretty decent wrestling chops. Was able to just keep it on the feet and absolutely just punish the kid for 3 rounds. Yeah, I'm really high on Van. I really think this kid has a lot of potential. He's still young. What is he, 22, 23 years old?
23, yeah. I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, young kid, a lot of potential. Yeah, I like him. And, Bruno, he's been around a while. We know what we're getting pretty much. Good striker, good power, big power in his hands, some decent grappling if he needs it. Yeah, overall, this is another one where the line, I like Van, but this line is minus like 700 now, so it's kind of like, what can I really do with that? You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. Van can but the thing that worries me is Bruno's chin is kind of been questionable before. It's the chin sometimes. The Cop fight, Cop got him out of there. but it was kind of an eye poke. He kind of eye poked him twice, then knocked him out. So
Yeah, kind of a weird one. Yeah.
and then the Durden fight, he was getting absolutely punished until he landed that big shot and absolutely sent Durden to the fucking shadow realm. So yeah, it's just how are you gonna get on him?
Yeah.
It's like you go 2-3 KO. You go 2-3 KO? Do you think you think Bruno can survive? Do you go decision? I mean, fight goes the distance is -125. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't hate the. See, I feel like you could bet him, 2-3. You can bet him over 1.5 because one thing about Van is he's not always the fastest starter. We saw him start
no.
fast against Charles Johnson, and then Charles Johnson got him. But
The KO is
generally
plus
speaking,
150 by itself, so you're probably going to get maybe like a plus 300 on the 2-3 KO.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way I would probably look. Because, I mean, the three-er decision is going to be juiced. I mean, the decision's -105. Yeah, it's just, man, it's these lines are really making you try to look for value this week. Like, try to find a way on these guys, Unless you want to just throw all the fucking favorites in a big parlay,
I know. I will say, though, I mean, Bruno Silva does start fights generally pretty well. He definitely has a lot of skill. So, Van is going to have to mind his P's and Q's here to start. So that 2-3, I think he gets him out of there. But I do think it's probably later in the fight because, Bruno could come out looking pretty sharp and, kind of a maybe back and forth type first round. And then we know what Van does. It's like when he gets to the second round, like I don't know, they put something in his water or something, but he just turns it on. And then once he gets guys hurt and he starts ripping the body, it's like he's the Terminator out there and he just puts a pace on guys and just beats them up bad. That's kind of how I feel like this could go. With all that said, he could just come out in the first round and destroy him because Bruno Silva's taken so much damage in his career. So that's a little scary.
I just don't see a first round KO. I don't.
I know. I don't expect it, but it's one of those things where it's like he comes out.
Would it surprise you if Josh Van just all of a sudden becomes a 3-round fighter and turns it on in round 1?
I mean, yeah. The only reason I do fear that is the damage that Bruno Silva has taken, and that last fight was not that long ago. 5 or so months ago. So, it could be one of those situations where he gets hit once and he's on the mat. But, historically speaking, Van gets his work done late in fights, puts on pace on late. Bruno Silva starts pretty fast in fights. So, yeah, I mean, well, I guess the Durden fight, he was getting pieced up pretty bad in that one too. So I don't know. But yeah, I think Van gets the job done, and I think he gets him out of there at some point. But yeah, it's tough. It's gonna be a sweat no matter how you want to bet it outside of the money line. But that's crazy. So Josh Van, we're both high on him. I think he gets it done. Just hopefully he gets a late finish, and we're all happy. All right. Our next fight is in the welterweight division. Two guys that at this point don't like capping their fights because ever since Luque's issue with the brain bleed, I've been a little bit nervous about him taking damage. But Kevin Holland is Kevin Holland. We know, he looks much better at welterweight. So you got to say, when he's sharp at welterweight, he's one of the better guys in the world. But Luque's tricky. Luque's very skilled. He's fought all the best guys. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Kevin Holland is, he's at 170. I mean, this is the best weight class for him to be in. We know what he brings to the table. Good karate striking. He's got good submissions, long arms, likes to lock up that Darce. He can be taken down, which is kind of a concern, but it's kind of shown at 170 where these guys he's kind of the same size as these guys, that he can kind of defend better, the grappling a little bit better, and being able to get back up or whatnot. Whereas when he's at 185, these guys are just massively just dominating them and taking them down and just holding them down. We pretty much know what we're getting out of Holland. We're going to see him fight 6 times a year, whether you like him or not. He's going to fight 6 times a year, and that's what he is. He's a fan favorite. He goes out there, whether you like him or hate him. The guy is going to go out there and he's going to fight. Whether he wins, lose, draw, whatever the case may be. But I mean, I think here he's got some decent advantages on the feet. And Luque, like you said, with the brain bleed and all that, like, really don't know what to make of it. That Buckley fight just absolutely looked like he just did not want to be in there. Like, he quit. Like, the first punch he took, he just kind of just wilted and went away. And just it's and then he comes out against Themba, who was The Rock's savior, gave him a house, and fucking everybody was high on him, and absolutely darces him and puts him away. Luque, not much of a grappler, even though he did grapple in the RDA fight, but that was kind of like his first fight back from the brain bleed, and it's like he's not much of a grappler. He's got a really strong darce, he's got a good submission game, but he's not much of a grappler. He's more of a kind of a striker boxer kind of guy. I just don't know how much Luque's got left in the tank, man. I think he's ready to go, man. I think he's probably gone, man. I think Holland's just going to be too long, too powerful on the feet, and I think he probably eventually catches him and puts him out, probably knocks him out. Or I think the long arms, I think maybe Luque panic shoots and he can grab up a darce himself. I could see that. Yeah, but I like Holland. I'm on Holland already. I bet his money line in a parlay. That's one of the first bets I made. So, I like Holland.
Yeah, me too, man. I honestly, you brought up the Buckley fight, and I think it could look very similar. Holland does have very long striking, very sharp striking. He's got power when he hits guys, he hurts guys. And if Luque takes a couple shots down the middle, and we could see him kind of just shell up a little bit. Historically, I mean, back in the day, Luque was all for rock'em sock'em robots type fight, but I just don't think he has that anymore. He's getting older. He's taking a lot of damage. Holland, for all his antics, and he's got a lot of losses on his record. But like you said, I mean, at 185, pretty much all those guys that he was fighting were actual wrestlers with the power wrestling game. Luque does not have that style of grappling. He is dangerous on the ground, but he's not a guy that's just going to be able to take him down and hold him down. I could see him landing a takedown and Holland just kind of sitting on his back or sitting on his butt and slapping him and talking to him and then getting back to his feet. I think Holland's a pretty good spot here. I'm not high on Luque these days, and welterweight Holland is a different guy, and I think he shows out in this one.
Yeah.
All right, our next fight, we've got the debuting Patchy Mix taking on Mario Bautista, and the level of disrespect on the UFC not having a picture of Patchy Mix is absolutely crazy. But Patchy Mix, we've seen him in the Bellator ranks. He's fought some tough guys. He's looked absolutely amazing in most of his fights. He's a very talented grappler. Striking not the greatest striker, but he does have some good striking. He's not a fish out of water on his feet by any stretch. Taking on Bautista, who is on a nice little run. He had that win over Aldo, which was, I was on him in that fight, but I wasn't confident he was going to get his hand raised at the end. He just held Aldo up against the cage. Aldo was kind of piecing him up a bit on the feet rounds 2 and 3, but he was able to control it. Pretty tough debut for anybody, but Patchy Mix, kid looks like the real deal. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's interesting to see here. We've all wanted to see Patchy in the UFC because, he was one of the guys that stood out there in Bellator. One of the better guys that looked like they could come to the UFC and have some success. Yeah, decent striking. But where he excels at is really in the grappling and the submission grappling. Good slick back takes. He'll grab your neck and he'll take it home with them. Really good submissions. Decently well-rounded. Striking is a little bit left to be desired. His last fight he had against Magomedov was a bit concerning. So there was at times where Magomedov was able to rock him and hurt him in a couple of the rounds. That was a super close fight. I guess I would give it to him, but it was a really close fight. But other than that, he looked, solid champion, looked really good. Coming into the UFC now, we've got to see it. Does he have that it factor in the UFC? Because we've seen some of these guys. These guys come from Bellator, and then they come in here, and they're just not at the same level. This is the best of the best. Yeah, I think Patchy's probably really good, but can he really elevate his game to be really good? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Mario Batista is a big test for him. I think Mario Batista is a good, well-rounded fighter. These guys. I think these guys are kind of similar kind of style kind of fighters, except it's maybe Mario doesn't have that same kind of like submission offense, but He's got good grappling. He's got decent grappling. The boxing. I think his boxing is probably better than Patchy Mix's. The striking for sure. It's just his weakness. Probably Batista's is probably the takedown defense, which was kind of concerning in that Blackshear fight, which Blackshear was able to get in some decent positioning there. In a couple moments in that fight, but man, this is a tough one for me. This is kind of leaned like I wanted to be on Patchy, but this number keeps going on up, and it's making it more interesting for me to just take Mario Batista here and just hope, just the value. I think I like Patchy, but I just think there's more value here as this line continues to go up. Yeah, I think this line should probably be a pick'em. I don't think Batista should be a plus 150, plus 160 dog right now. Definitely not. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Batista here. I'm going to think he gets the job done and derails that side train and puts an end to it.
All right, so this will be the first time we disagree officially.
Got to pick a dog. Got to pick a dog at some point.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you, and I think
this is one of the Liber dogs, absolutely. So I got to roll with them. Yeah, I like Patchy. But I just think there's a little value in Batista. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. There's value there for sure. I like Patchy. I really do think he's the real deal. He's coming over. He's a little younger than the guys that we have seen come over from Bellator, so obviously that helps. And we watch these Bellator cards and we see these guys win, and then we saw Scott Coker. Oh, this guy would be a champion in the UFC too, blah blah. And generally speaking, it's a lot of hot air. But Patchy was one of the guys where I thought, he's definitely going to be a guy that can compete with the top 5 in the UFC. At least I think he will. So I think he comes in and gets it done. But yeah, it's not an easy fight by any stretch. I like Patchy. I like Bautista. I think I bet Bautista in his last 6 or 7 fights. I've been on the kid for quite a while now. So not a guy that I like to pick against. But yeah, I'm going to roll with Patchy here. I think he gets it done. And I think it's going to be a good fight, though. It's going to be a great test. And if Patchy comes out and looks like $1 million, he's going to be fast-tracked. I would think he's going to be getting, the best guys in the division. So
a bet that I don't mind that I might sprinkle is the Patchy sub 2-3 at plus 700.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. There's a little sprinkle there.
Yeah.
Patchy sub. Yeah.
He's always live to catch a sub. He's had some cool submissions in his career so far. I've been impressed with him, and I think of all the guys coming over, he's definitely right at the top of the list of the guys who I think can compete at the top of this division. And it's a stacked division. Might be at least one of the top 2 divisions in the UFC. I mean, there's a lot of good fighters in this weight class. But yeah, I think he comes in and gets it done. But absolutely great fight, and it's definitely going to be competitive.
Yeah.
All right, our next fight is in the middleweight division. We've got Kelvin Gastelum, who I always think of as old, but I think he's only 33. He's been around a long time. He's fought all the best guys. Taking on Joe Pyfer, who's a guy that he's got massive power. He's got a lot of upside. Trains with Sean Brady, so we know his grappling's on point. Big dude. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He basically hates everybody. The guy's just a angry person. It's an interesting matchup here. We saw that his last loss was against Jack Hermanson, where he looked really good for a little bit, and then Hermanson kind of, outvetted him and beat him on the cardio and got him out. Well, didn't get him out. I don't think he finished him, but he just kind of beat him up late. And so bit of a learning experience for him. Interesting matchup here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a rebook for Mexico where Piper had violent diarrhea, I guess, from eating Mexican street food after a weight cut, and then just absolutely destroys the whole country of Mexico. Yeah, kind of an asshole for that, but hey.
I think that's just who he is.
Yeah, his personality, his stick, or whatever it is. But, the kid's got potential. He's got big game changing power in his hands. He touches you. He's got that death touch. He could put almost anybody out. Massive power. Yeah, decent grappling. We've seen him grapple too. I mean, he's in that room with Brady and when all those boys over there in Philly. So the grappling's on point. Yeah, big solid kid. Looks good. Just I have questions about his cardio. That was my big question in the Mexico fight at altitude was he going to be able to keep that, if he didn't finish him, was he going to be able to, edge out a decision? But now we're coming here in New Jersey. It's just pretty much his hometown, just right over the bridge from Philly. So kind of a hometown fight for him. So, I mean, it's the question, is he going to be able to put Gastelum out, knock him out? Nobody's ever knocked Gastelum out. We know Kelvin, he's been around for forever. Like you said, you think he's old, but he's only like 33. But I think like in fight years, he's like, he's probably like 45, Yeah. Granite chin, never been put out. Good striking, good boxing, good cardio, good pace. He's going to be there for 15 minutes. Yeah, really solid middle of the road. Just never really got off the hump. Had that great fight against Adesanya that he lost. But I question his commitment. He's just like his weight and everything. Like the whole fucking shenanigans he pulled with D-Rod, where he 170, no 180, oh no 185. He was dropping the YouTube videos of missing weight with fucking Kelvin or whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah.
You just got to really question his commitment, But, yeah, Piper, big power here. Can he be the one to finally crack that chin? I don't know. I think he probably wins here. I think he can grapple here and maybe sub him. That would be an interesting, to see if he can take him down and maybe do what Sean Brady did to him, because Sean Brady was able to grapple fuck him and get him out of there,
Yeah.
So yeah, the pick for me is I'll also have a parlay on Piper. So yeah, I like Piper to win. It's just I could see him grappling him and winning a decision, or subbing him or knocking him out. I can see him winning either way. So
yeah, I think the sub is. I think the sub is probably a better possibility, because when we have seen Kelvin just get steamrolled, it's been against guys who can grapple him and, you know, beat him up for rounds, or like the Chris Weidman fight back in the day. You know, he was looking good against Weidman, and then Weidman took him down and submitted him quick. I think, was it Hermanson? I think Hermanson subbed him within like the first minute of the fight. It was either Hermanson or Mearshart. But yeah, I mean, he's shown that as tough as he is, as good as he is, he can be beat on the ground. And if I'm Pfeiffer, I'm probably looking to get it to the ground, because we know Gastelum's tough as nails, and he's going to come forward. And even if you hurt him, he's going to come forward for a full 15 minutes. He's not going anywhere. And if, you know, Pfeiffer's cardio doesn't hold up, that's a problem. So I expect Pfeiffer to win, and I expect him to grapple. I think that's the way he's got to do it. I mean, obviously, he does have massive power. He's a huge dude. And everybody can be knocked out. It's just, you know, it can happen to anybody. Obviously, we haven't seen it with Gastelum, but it's always possible. But I think the path here would be to grapple, wear on him, use his size advantage, and I think a sub is live here. All right, so that brings us to our first of our two title fights. We've got Juliana Pena, the defending champ, taking on Kayla Harrison. And like I said earlier, this is a fight that, you know, Juliana, obviously she's always talking, and she's been talking about Kayla since Kayla was in the PFL, and finally we get to see the fight. Kayla, Olympic judo gold medalist, 2-time, absolute giant. The weight will be interesting because she has not yet made 135. She's absolutely massive, so weigh-ins will be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, Kayla, for the most part in her career, has looked very dominant, and we know the grappling is insane. Taking on Pena, who's, you know, she's a bit of a junkyard dog. She got the win over Nunes the first time and shocked us all. And she's tough. She's tough out. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is kind of a squash match. You know, Kayla minus 700 favorite, really, you know, I mean, we know what she's going to bring here, you know, heavy grappling. I mean, I think Pena's going to have a hard time staying on her feet. And I think Kayla probably takes her down and just absolutely smashes her. You know, but I mean, Juliana's, you know, path to victory here would be to kind of weather the storm and kind of hope that, kind of like in the first Amanda fight, where she kind of weathered that early storm. Amanda kind of gassed and looked for a way out, you know. That would be her path here. You know, like you said, she's a junkyard dog. You know, the cardio's there. The striking is pretty terrible, but she's gonna walk forward. She's gonna throw volume. You know, and like you said, Kayla, what's it? You know, that extra pound is a lot to these. You know, cutting that down. You know, and I mean, if you've seen her leading up to this fight week, she is absolutely fucking jacked. Yeah, she looked like she has no muscle, no fat on her at all. It's just pure muscle, and you got to think that weight cut is going to be fucking dreadful. That extra pound is you got to think it's going to hurt to get that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Besides Kayla, like, death gassing and just completely falling apart, I really don't see how she loses this fight. Yeah, it's pretty easily Kayla for me, but there's that concern that the weight cut, she can gas and Pena can take over, and Pena can be dangerous. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's Kayla pretty overwhelmingly for me. But yeah, I think Pena's live if Harrison gasses.
Yeah, sure. That's the main concern for me. Because she is going to get the grappling going. She's just way bigger and stronger, and, you know, she's the best grappler that Pena's faced. I mean, she's as good as it gets. Just she does look. I couldn't believe she looks bigger than she has in previous fights, which is kind of crazy. I mean, Kayla, who I'm talking about, Kayla looks absolutely huge. So yeah, I'm a little concerned with the weight. I mean, she's a professional. She's been competing at the highest level basically her entire career. So I expect her to get the job done, making the weight. And but yeah, definitely a tough cut. 5-round fight could get interesting, but yeah, it's hard to go against Kayla in this spot. All right, that brings us to our main event. We've got a rematch for the bantamweight title. Merab Dvaalishvili taking on Sean O'Malley. You know, Merab is a machine. That's the nickname, and for good reason. The guy comes forward, lands takedowns, and if you get up, he's going to come forward and land more takedowns. We saw that kind of in the first fight. You know, Merab just kind of controlled O'Malley for most of that fight. It got a little interesting in the 5th round when O'Malley landed a nice body shot. But other than that, it didn't look like O'Malley wanted to be there. You know, he said, well, I don't know if he said, but there's talk about he was injured in that fight leading up to it, had a hip injury, so wasn't able to wrestle.
He got surgery right after the fight.
Yeah, so I mean, that definitely could have played a factor. But I've heard talks of O'Malley having a leg injury coming into this one. So I don't know. Like, O'Malley has been he's been very calm. He hasn't, you know, done the Sugar Sean antics coming into this one. So is that a sign that, you know, he's injured and he doesn't think he can win, or is that a new strategy for him? But it's no matter what, it's a tough out against Merab. We've seen it time and time again. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I kind of dove deep into this one, and you know what we're getting out of Merab. It's all pace, all push, all just attack. Just gonna just come forward and try to take you down, put the pressure on you. You know, the machine. You know, it's a cardio monster. You know, we've seen in the Umar fight. You know, he lost the first 2 rounds, I think, to Umar, and then just, I mean, he was able to just turn it on, and win those last 3 rounds. Just put the pace and the cardio on him. You know, and you know, the first fight was an interesting one because I don't know if I had my beer goggles on, but I thought it was a lot more dominant from Merab than watching it back. It was a little bit, you know, O'Malley had his opportunities. He just seemed real hesitant on the trigger, like he couldn't fire off. It was kind of weird. You know what I mean? It was strange. So, like, I really don't know what to make of it. I've never seen O'Malley look like that before. So, like you said, there was that kind of hip injury, and then he did have the surgery after the fight. He didn't, you know, he couldn't grapple during like the whole camp. You know, it was just weird. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's like, what kind of improvements can he make going into this fight? You know, we've seen him, like, he's been like working with guys like you know, Demetrius Johnson, and he's had, you know, Izzy in his camp. You know, so he's been training with a lot of good bodies. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see what adjustments O'Malley could make here. I mean, I think O'Malley could make the right adjustments to make this like a little bit like in his, you know, if he could just stuff a few takedowns and not be on the ground for as much, I think he's got an opportunity to win. You know what I mean? It's like, what improvements is Merab going to be able to make to be more dominant? I mean, we know what Merab's going to bring. He's going to fight the same way every single time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of went like, man, picking Merab, but just like having like this really weird feeling about it, like that he's gonna just get put out. I don't know. I'm picking Merab for now, but it's like I've got a really like weird feeling he's gonna get starched. I don't know what it is.
Well, I mean, I see it. Like, that's how I thought about the first fight. I thought O'Malley could definitely catch him. We've seen Merab get hurt many times in fights, and O'Malley is as good a striker as there is out there. And it was a little shocking to see the way the fight played out. But, we talk about that hip injury. It's a problem when you're facing a guy who's a cardio wrestler. I mean, if that's the case, I would expect O'Malley, as long as he's good, as long as he's healthy, I would expect a much better showing from him in this fight. And like I mentioned earlier, he did have a nice moment in that 5th round where he hit him. I think it was a teep kick to the liver or something, hurt him to the body. It got interesting there, but I feel like if O'Malley fights his best fight, it's a competitive fight. It's tough to pick against Merab though. And
I just have this weird feeling like O'Malley's gonna catch him with like a knee coming in or something like weird, fluky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I can't expect him to look lifeless like he did in the last fight. I just that would be absolutely shocking. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Much stranger things have happened, and O'Malley definitely has that kill shot. O'Malley's.
And then who do you think the UFC wants to win more here?
Well, obviously, we know they want O'Malley to win. I mean,
so it's like, it's a close fight.
Yeah.
Maybe, do they fucking gift him a decision?
It's possible. I mean, we've seen that kind of script play out a little bit at times, where fighters get that decision, and it's just like, how? But yeah, I mean, if O'Malley brings it and brings his best, he's definitely live here.
Can he stuff those takedowns and kind of keep him at range to where he can piece them up at? You know what I mean?
It's a matter of does he get to fire off shots on the feet? Does he have enough time on the feet? Because if he does, it's a problem for Merab. It's absolutely a problem. And yeah, I mean, I agree, dude. I've thought about O'Malley clipping him. I mean, I thought about that the first time. I thought it was possible, and yeah, I think I wanna hope that O'Malley comes into this fight healthy. I mean, we know Merab broke his toe. I don't know. Ago, but I don't think that's going to really affect much coming into this one. So yeah, I mean, I guess officially I have to pick Merab just because I have seen it once, and it's tough to think that a whole lot's going to change, but it's a fight game, and a lot can change with one stiff punch down the middle. So so I'm gonna pick Merab officially. But yeah, I'm not like running to bet that because I mean I think the line's pretty wide as it is, and O'Malley definitely is gonna have something to say about this one. But that's it. I mean, it's a good card. It's a fun card. I don't know what the weekend schedule is going to look like. Our guy Keg is on a much-needed vacation, so not sure what we got going on for live shows this weekend. But as always, sign up at Nuke the House. Got a great Discord, a lot of good guys in there. We got Meyer, who's absolutely crushing NASCAR, made us some pretty good money last weekend. And he's just doing his thing. And of course, we got the baseball. We've got the NBA finals coming up. Actually, they start tonight. I don't even follow basketball enough, but we got the finals.
Yeah, we're at halftime in the finals.
Yeah, so the finals have started.
We're in the halftime.
I do not follow basketball much anymore, but we got the NHL going on. We got all kinds of stuff going on. But yeah, with that said, Johnny, if you got anything else to add, let us know.
No, good luck this weekend. Hope everybody crushes, and see you when I see you.
All right, sounds good. With that, we'll get out of here. Good luck as always, and we will see you soon.